So we've spoken a lot about movies that we enjoyed as a kid or didn't enjoy as a kid, and also that experience of rewatching it as an adult. But my question is, what makes a kid movie versus what makes it an adult movie that is disguised as a kid movie? Or whether some kid movies aren't actually kid movies and they're actually adult movies.
I don't know if I have definitive answers for you, but I feel like I have kind of anecdotes or like things that help. Like in Shrek, there's a lot of more adult humor, like things that you only really pick up on if you're an adult. And that's the kind of thing that will make adults appreciate it as well. And I think studios have become more and more conscious of this, that a lot of the time when kids are watching movies, they're watching them with their parents. Like, it's a family affair. They want the parents to bring the kids out to the theaters for, a night at the movies kind of thing. So they want the movie to appeal to the whole family, not just to the kids. So I think Shrek is a good example of that. And you mentioned before The Incredibles, and there's a lot of things in it that kids wouldn't really get, like the aspect of the midlife crisis, I think is something that kids would not understand. Whereas if you're like in your 40s or 50s, you're going to be like, oh yes, had that last week, So I think that there's like particular tropes or ideas or just like types of humor that adults will get that kids won't necessarily get, so that it works for the whole family.
But then is The Incredibles a kid movie or an adult movie? Or is there like a Venn diagram? Maybe it's not just like one or the other.
Yeah. Another example, we were also talking about Toy Story, and I might have told this story on the podcast before, but basically there is this like Star Wars reference in Toy Story. So my sister and I were sitting on the couch. I remember this very clearly. We were watching the second Toy Story movie, and I think it's the second one. The whole time, Buzz Lightyear is like, I need to find the man who killed my father because he destroyed my life, and I'm going to get revenge, and I'm going to kill this guy or do something really bad to it. I don't know, it was a kid's movie. So this whole movie, he's looking for him, and then he thinks he finds him. He thinks he finds the man who kills his father, and it's this guy who has like this mask on the whole time. His voice is kind of distorted, if I remember correctly. And he says, Buzz Lightyear says, "You killed my father." And the guy goes, "No, I am your father." And of course, this is a reference to Star Wars, which my sister and I had not seen because we're like, young kids. My parents, I think both of them at that moment were like somewhere close by, like not really watching, but kind of watching. And they both burst out laughing at this point. And we're like, you horrible people. He's just found out something devastating. Why are you laughing? And it's because they understood that this was a reference to Star Wars that kids wouldn't understand, but was written in there specifically for adults. So that kind of thing, I think adults would really appreciate.
Yeah. And then there's also like animated movies that are animated. Like, I think very typically, like, you would think like animated movie, kid movie, like visually you'd slap that label on that movie. But I'm thinking about like Wallace and Gromit, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Miyazaki films. Those films feel like they're not exactly kid movies. I mean, I can definitely speak for Fantastic Mr. Fox because I watched it recently as an adult, and I feel like I would have enjoyed it as a kid, but like I would have gotten a bit bored, I think. And the Miyazaki, some of it's like creepy, like Spirited Away. I think I watched it maybe when I was like 12 or something, and maybe not 12, maybe a little younger, I don't know. But I did have nightmares for a day. But I have nightmares really easily, so I guess maybe I'm a unique case.
No, I remember finding it really creepy too, and not really understanding what was going on. Like it was a bit like too artsy, and I think because the kind of like movies I was used to at that time were very straightforward, they were probably mostly Disney movies that I was watching. It's very, very different. And it's, probably more intelligent than your typical Disney movie, or at least more complex, and I just didn't get it. That's probably something that I should watch again, Spirited Away.
So do you think that's what makes it an adult movie? Like, if it is a plot that kids aren't easily going to grasp, then that sits firmly in adult movie, but animated adult movie. Whereas, like, The Incredibles could be kid-adult, middle of the Venn diagram. And then there are, of course, like, kid movies. Like, there must be. Like, in my head, I'm just thinking Cars. Like, I don't want to watch that as an adult.
Camp Rock? Or is that more of, like, a preteen movie?
I guess that's, like, a tween.
High School Musical? That's kind of tween
Oh,
also.
but, like, cult classic.
Just, like...
Although we think so.
Any, like, Disney Channel original movie, I feel like, is probably a kid's movie. Like, that's the audience it's for. And I don't think those Disney Channel original movies are aimed at adults at all. They're not trying to, like, get adults on board. They're like, we're just making this for the kids. They're not putting in, like, adult humor or adult jokes. Because they're not usually quite the same quality as a Disney movie. Like, Disney original... Disney Channel is very different from the Disney studios.
Yeah. I wonder if there's, like, a spectrum, like, in their marketing team, whether they plot, like, adult and kid. And then, like, maybe Soul is, like, kind of in the middle, but, like, I'm kind of closer to the adult side. Because Soul is, like, I feel like very intelligent as a film. And then, I don't know, like, maybe they're like, putting competitors there. And, like, Miyazaki's, like, all the way there. And then Cars is, like, opposite end of the spectrum. I don't know. I feel like I'm giving a lot of crap to Cars. Sorry to Cars lovers out there, but, like, I feel like it's not the franchise for me.
Yeah, I remember last year, before the Oscars, like, people were just talking about Soul a lot. Like, it felt like a movie that everyone was watching. And again, like, we don't know kids, so the people I'm talking about are, like, adults. Like, it's other adults watching Soul. So, yeah, that's really neat, I think. Another example of something that is kind of borderline is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, because I feel like everyone around me has seen it. Like, this just feels like a very popular movie, and again, I'm not talking about kids. Like, I'm talking about people my age. So that kind of stands out.
I can see it being a kid movie too, but yeah, it does seem like closer to the adult end of the spectrum, but I watched it as an adult, and that might be why. So we could never assess without having access to a kid and sit the kid down and be like, watch all these movies and tell us whether it's the movie for you.
Yeah.
Imagine if that happened. That would be a little bit terrifying, but also kind of interesting.
Like, I'm sure all of these movies go through screen tests with both kids and adults to see if it's the right audience or, like, what the rating should be and those kinds of things.